Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna
Hare Krishna, glories to Srila Prabhupada, and welcome to our Wednesday night discussion and reading from the original Caitanya-caritāmṛta by Srila Prabhupada. And this, of all the books that he presented, is for many of us our favorite. Because the different books that we do study have different focuses. As you know, or you may not know, I've been rereading the Bhagavad Gita and enjoying it tremendously. The verses are ever fresh, and the purports even more so. Because when you have a realization based on careful study, an application to the process, you can see or understand through the years that Prabhupada is the true bona fide spiritual master of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Goswami. And in that particular role, he's able to transmit transcendental sound directly to his disciples, those that are his followers, and are very serious about hearing from him this transcendental science of self-realization, because hearing is the basis of this relationship, to hear from the spiritual master, and not only to hear, but also to serve. So from the hearing process develops the desire to serve the spiritual master. And in this way, by trying to please him, you can please Krishna and make advancement in spiritual life. I had an interesting phone call this week. And as you know, everyone, many of us are being approached by people from around the world who are attending our classes. And due to technology problems for them, or timetable problems, they might not be able to make it at these times, they are going to our YouTube channel, which has been developed by Venkat Bhatta Das for us. And it has proved to be very effective for reaching people. And I know in the case of Krishna Kata Prabhu, who's in San Diego, that he reached us that way. And what happened, Garuda Prabhu, was there was a lady devotee who called me from the southern United States. And I'd never met her before. And she wanted to talk to me about what we're doing and the position that we're putting Prabhupada in as preeminent spiritual master for people now and in the future. And of course, she wanted to thank me for the classes. That was her purpose. And I asked her, well, how many classes have you attended? She goes, over 200. She has a regular diet of hearing these classes from her YouTube connection. So she's never attended the Zoom classes. And the same with Krishna-kata Prabhu. He never attended originally the classes, but was seeing them on the YouTube channel and becoming inspired by the program that we've developed. And is that very motivating for us? If just one person calls? Yes, it is. It's quite extraordinary. And we understand that with one person calling, that means there may be 20 people that are appreciating but haven't called. There's all kinds of statistics on that. But at the same time, this message is reaching out to other people of what we're saying about Prabhupada's position and how it's being minimized in the ISKCON group. I used the example, Garuda Prabhu, of the teacher in the class. Well, the teacher in the class, he's the head of the class. Then you have the students, they're at the front of the class. And then you have some students, they sit at the back of the class. Right? So the head of the class, the front of the class, and the back of the class. Now what happened, this lady from southern states told me what happened to her. She went to a Vyas Puja celebration of Prabhupada at her local temple. I know where she is, Ron. I'm just trying to help her remain anonymous. But thank you. So she went to the celebration at the temple that she was attending, the Vyas Puja celebration, and she got up and spoke, Garuda, about her love for Srila Prabhupada, her respect for him as the bona fide spiritual master. And then a disciple of Jayapataka got up and disparagingly criticized her for her speaking that way. This goes on, that if people like us step up and discuss Prabhupada as the preeminent Acharya from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Goswami, we're criticized? We're chastised? And recently, one of our members went to the Sacramento temple, and one of our godbrothers beat him in public, and nobody stood up to defend him. Nobody. Can you imagine? And what was his mortal sin, Garuda? What was the sin? That he was trying to keep Prabhupada at the head of the class, and they want to put him at the back of the class. Prabhupada has been put in the position of being out of prominence in these temples. It's true. Oh, sure, they do their pranams, because that's something that would be too obvious. But when it comes to the actual understanding of who Prabhupada is, they have gone far, far away from the explanations that he's beautifully explaining in his books to us. Absolutely gone away. It's a great tragedy, of course. It was predicted by him, as you know. And he warned us over and over again while he was here in his personal presence that this type of thing would go on because he had personal experience in the Gaudiya Math. That his godbrothers, they never accepted him as a preeminent preacher or a leader of anyone. In fact, we know that, Garuda, when we used to go back to Mayapur in the early 70s. I was so proud to go there in 73, 74. Prabhupada was presenting us to his godbrothers to show them, here's the result of my preaching work. Because you judge a man by his results. He was spreading the movement worldwide. Amazingly, he was publishing all these books. He was opening all these temples. He was organizing the Rath Yatra programs in all the cities around the world. He was initiating so many disciples, and yet they looked at him. Who does he think he is? He's not the representative. In fact, Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu talked about this. He was saying that his godbrothers, Prabhupada's godbrothers, came to him and said, how come you're letting your disciples call you Prabhupada? And he sent one of his servants to go get his letterhead. And he brought it in to Prabhupada, and Prabhupada showed them his letterhead, and it did not say Prabhupada, it said A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. Prabhupada was never glorifying himself as any kind of great saint. He always remained humble, very humble and very hardworking on the mission of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada. That was his position, servant of the servant of the servant of the spiritual master. And did he get support from his godbrothers? No. We've been reading, and we will continue to study his history. And we've been reading in the diaries, he was sending letters to his godbrothers, trying to get some support, trying to get some help. But it was only superficial appreciation of what he was doing. And eventually, as we know, in 1966, after he opened 26 Second Avenue, his group that he was attracting started to take form, and he organized the corporation and continued to expand his book publications and distribution. And then it grew and grew and grew till it proved to everyone in the world that he was the bona fide representative of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada. Is Prabhupada put in that position of prominence in America these days? No. Even if you go to the Alachua Temple, they will not allow you to read from the original Bhagavad Gita as it is, 1972 version, in that temple room. You have to use the edited books. Now, this is not criticism. This is factual. This is enlightenment that we're sharing based on self-realization, vijnana, practical application of this philosophy, and experience, having been in this movement since myself, 1970, yourself since 70, and seen all of these things that have evolved during Prabhupada's presence and after. And now Prabhupada has been moved to the back of the class. He's not at the head of the class. He's at the back of the class. In fact, what they do, let me finish the story. So this lady, she glorified Prabhupada, and someone got up and criticized her. And she's never gone back to that temple again. And she's taken shelter. She has cancer, by the way, and she's moving toward her final days. And she was so appreciative of the fact that here at this group, she found some solace with a group of devotees that are Prabhupada focused. And that's our goal, everyone. To refocus the mission around Srila Prabhupada. Oh, sure. People go, oh, let's open another temple. For what reason? So you can put the guru stand of some particular person there, and he can develop his own particular program and accumulate his own disciples and accumulate his own bank balance and have a luxury suite in the ashram where he doesn't have to pay. There's no rent charge. He gets free food. Someone will clean his underwear and iron his clothes. And then they'll give him airfare to fly anywhere in the world and preach and be a part of that mission. And this way he has a very, how can I say, comfortable life. This is what's happened. Prabhupada has been put at the back of the room, and we are going to put him at the head of the class. And we do have a plan. I'll be disclosing it coming up in the near future, to establish in America a Prabhupada Memorial Center, a center that will be focused exclusively on Prabhupada as the bona fide Acharya and representative of Lord Chaitanya, the greatest preacher in the history of the modern world. Oh, they put up the Lincoln Center. For what, Garuda? What good is that? Okay, some things were achieved. But is it in any comparison to Srila Prabhupada's achievements, Prabhu? Is it? Not even remotely. And people that understand this realize that this is the greatest flaw that's taken place in the modern world and in the world of the ISKCON movement. That Prabhupada has been put at the back of the class. Oh, sure, they're building a big, Prabhupada wanted a city built. So they're building the city. Is Prabhupada in prominence there? No. It's other people that have taken that role, have tens of thousands of disciples. If you can't see it, we understand. You don't want to see it. That's the reason. You either don't have the capacity or the sincerity or the proper attitude to take up the mission of Lord Chaitanya under the banner of our spiritual master, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda. Oh yeah. Would they accept me at these temples? I don't think so. Of course, they may have trouble with us. So I wanted to mention that to all of you, that lots is happening, very positive. And if you want any information on everything we're doing, please feel free to get in touch with me. I'll put my phone number up on the chat later, and you can call me at your leisure or get a hold of Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu or any of the God brothers that are assembled here as a team of people that are working together to protect the legacy of A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda, moving forward to the future for the next 10,000 years. This is not some small thing, although we are a small group. I want to finish off with, and I apologize. It was interesting to note, Garuda Prabhu, that recently, through Krishna Katha, who goes to the San Diego temple still on Saturdays, he was there with Lalitanath, and they had their trucks parked out front of the temple because they were there for chanting and, association, see the deities and get prasadam. So they were sitting down after the program to have their prasadam, and then they both have pickup trucks, pickup trucks. And so they were at the front of the doorways where the people come. So the devotee runs up to them, Prabhus, those are your trucks. You've got to move your trucks. Oh, I've got to move my trucks. Oh, really? What's happening? Well, Jayadvaita is coming. Oh. So please move your trucks so his car can pull into the front door and he can get out and enter into the temple without any inconvenience. What's the inconvenience? Oh, you might have to walk a half a block. Oh, sorry. This person is so exalted, he's going to have to walk a half a block instead of pulling up to the front door. Eh, Garuda? Geez, heck darn. That really hurts me. It hurts my feelings. So they go out, they move their trucks to their inconvenience, and they're both Prabhupada disciples. They're his godbrothers, they're peers. But no, we have to move the cars. So I asked them this, Garuda Prabhu, I asked them this question, with my legal mind. I said, by the way, Prabhu, he goes, yeah, how many people greeted him at the door when he got out of the car? 6. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. 6 people greeted him at the door. Not very successful. These people live in a bubble of confusion, illusion, delusion, completely lost in Nowheresville. Goodbye. 6 people. I have more people at my house that give me respect, that rent from me, than these people get in their so-called positions as editors of the Bhagavad Gita. This is madness. It's a joke. They're insignificant nobodies, all of them. These groups, what is a group anyway but a small group of people? It doesn't add up to much when you see the way the material world operates. Hardly anybody. That's 6 people in a group is no people. That's none. But they think, oh, I'm such a big person. I'm such an important person. Look who I am. Well, wake up. You're Mr. Nobody. That's what you are. And you got 6 people greeting you at the door. That's a joke. These people are deluded. Anyway, I'm going to carry on with the reading. We have a lot of other items I'll bring up, like our Vyas Puja offerings. We'll do that at the end of the program. Request for producers for our shows to help us. We want to expand the shows and make them even more interesting for everyone. And like that, we'll move on with the diary. We've got a brief reading here. Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu's had a very hectic day, and I'm glad to see you're here, Prabhu, in the car. Thank you very much. He's been keeping me updated with his travels in California, which have been very difficult, but nonetheless, he's here for us without fail. And we'll go to the diaries here. I just wanted to show the picture of Prabhupada's bed. Hopefully we can show that. Yeah, thank you. Look at that beautiful, austere bed of Srila Prabhupada. That's at Radha Damodar Temple. So he was certainly living very humbly, always set perfect example. And look at the Vyasa-san that he was sitting on. It's just a wooden platform with a backing on it. Just flip the picture, please. And I guess we can't. The rooms at Radha Damodar, there we are. The rooms at Radha Damodar Temple rented by Srila Prabhupada above right. The double doors on the right led into his, that's fine. Srila Prabhupada wrote this letter to Gaurachandra Swami, head of the Radha Damodar Temple in Vrindavan, and enclosed a money order for rupees 25. Srila Prabhupada notes that this payment will cover the rent of his rooms for 5 months, from June to October of 1965. He had made 2 rooms at the Radha Temple, this Vrindavan residence, in 1962. Now, I put a post up from Guru Das, Garuda Prabhu. It's up on Prabhupada Disciples Association Facebook page. And we get over 100,000 views a month there, by the way, from our collective contributors. And I did put in a detailed memo from Guru Das on this situation that he was put in charge of after Prabhupada's had left Radha Damodar temple. He was given the keys, Guru Das, to the doors. And then there's a whole story. So if you get a chance, everyone, go to the Prabhupada Disciples Association Facebook page. There's a lot of great information there coming from all the devotees that are members of it. And you'll get more insights as you become educated on the history of this wonderful movement and Prabhupada's position. Okay, this is July 31st, 1965, from Bombay. Dear Goswamiji, this was from Prabhupada's letterhead, and look at, wait a minute, is that 60? Yeah, that's 65. And look at his residence is Radha Damodar Temple, Vrindavan, and his offices are in Delhi. So he had a nice letterhead already. But you saw his office. You saw his residence, Garuda. Wasn't very opulent, but he had an address. He was showing that his vision of building an organization through these simple steps of building a letterhead. We also have a beautiful new letterhead, everyone, with our branch offices, 19 branch offices for the Prabhupada Disciples Association, Hare Krishna Society, 19 Garuda, with people that are committed to helping keep this philosophy alive. My dear Goswami, please accept my dandavats. Tomorrow I'm going to Calcutta to catch my ship, MV Jaladuta, and I'm starting for USA by the 10th of August, 1965, reaching New York after a month. And I've sent you one money order for rupees $25 today before yesterday, which I hope you have received. In the meantime, I may return to India by November next. Remember, he didn't have a visa longer than October. In the meantime, Sri Amat Singh Babaji will see you with this letter, as he is going to Vrindavan sometimes in the next month. He is a great devotee of Lord Krishna. And it is this gentleman about whom I talked with you in the matter of Sri Radha Madhavi Vigraha of Sri Jayadev Goswami. He will erect a great temple for Sri Sri Madhava and conduct a Rajdev with great pomp and accompanied by utsavas according to Vaishnava Smritis. Please talk with him face to face about the negotiation, and on my behalf I shall strongly recommend to accept this proposal, not only because he is my friend, but also from the angle improvement of Seva Puja. I hope both of you will come to some happy agreement just to see I improved condition of Seva Puja. Thank you in that anticipation. Yours sincerely, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda. So this is a very interesting note from him, and it gives you an idea of his vision for spreading Krishna consciousness and how that vision will be continued with the Prabhupada Disciples Association, Hare Krishna Society, and all of the devotees that are working together to see that mission succeed. We'll go forward with the chanting of Jaya Radha Madhava and the class and readings and discussions with Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu on this Wednesday evening, July 10th, 2024.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Yaśodā-nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yaśodā-nandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Banachari Jamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yaśodā-nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yaśodā-nandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Banachari Jamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Amaspat Paramahansa Parivrajagācārya Sattvaresvara Samad Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupāda ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava ki Jai Nāmācārya Sri Haridas Thakur ki Jai Prem se Kaho Sri Krishna Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasari Gaur Bhaktamani ki Jai Sri Radha Krishna Mokh Gopinath Sam Khund Radha Khund Giridharan ki Jai Vrindavan Dham ki Jai Navadvip Dham ki Jai Ganga Mai ki Jai Jamuna Mai ki Jai Guru Dwarka Dham ki Jai Swami Bhaktivedanta ki Jai All glories to the Assembly. All glories to the Assembly. Thank you very much.
All glories to you, Srila Prabhupada. Glories to you, Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. O my Lord, Sri Krishna, the son of Vasudeva, the all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Narayanam namaskritya. Narayanam namaskritya. Naram cheva narottamam. Naram cheva narottamam. Devim Saraswatim Vyasam. Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayat. Tato Jayam Mudirayat. One should utter the means of conquest, Srimad Bhagavatam and Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta, after offering respectful obeisances, 1, to the personality of Godhead, Narayana, 2, to the Naranarayana Rishi, who is the supermost human being, 3, to the Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, then 4, to Srila Vyasadeva, the author, from Srimad Bhagavatam 1, 2,
4. Welcome everyone to this reading and discussion on Srimad Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta. Today I'm not in Twinehart, I'm in a place called Moreno Valley, basking in the heat here. But the transcendental message of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta continues. As we do every week, we'll be reciting a few selected verses from the Adi Lila, chapter 1, from text 18 to 22, which explains the meaning of hearing this great, powerful, transcendental literature. Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Glory to Sri Chaitanya and Nityananda. Glory to Advaita Chandra, and glory to all the devotees of Sri Gaura, Lord Chaitanya. Text 19. 18 Thakur Gadiya ke karye cheno yatmasat. 18 Era Charana Vandan Tere Morenat. These three deities of Vrindavana, Madan Mohan, Govinda, and Gopinatha, have absorbed the heart and soul of the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, followers of Lord Chaitanya. I worship their lotus feet, for they are the lords of my heart. Granteraram Vikari Mangala Charana, Guru Vaishnav Bhagavanti Nera Smarana. In the beginning of this narration, simply by remembering the spiritual master, the devotees of the Lord, and the personality of Godhead, I have invoked their benedictions. Inera smaraneyai vigna vinashana, anayaseyai nijavanchita purana. Such remembrance destroys all difficulties and very easily enables one to fulfill his own desires. Simangala charanoi trivida prakar, vastu nirdesha ashirvada namaskara. The invocation involved three processes: defining the objective, offering benedictions, and offering obeisances. Again, welcome everyone to this reading and discussion on Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta. We are reading from the original, non-edited, non-interpolated, non-polluted original version of Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta, all synonyms, translations, and purports by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda, Founder-Ācārya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, also known as the Krishna Consciousness Movement. 261, Chapter 4. We will be reading here from Chapter 4, text 261. Tate jani mora acha kona ekorasa, amar mohini rada tare karibasha. Tate, thereupon, jani, I can understand, mate, in me, ache, there is, kona, some, eka, one, rasa, transcendental mellow, amara, my, mohini, captivator, radha, Srimati Radharani, tare, her, karivasha, subdued. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Considering this, I can understand that some unknown mellow in me controls the entire existence of my captivator, Srimati Radharani. Text 262. Amoyete Radhapai Jatiya Shuka Tata Ataha Svaditi Ami Sadayun Mukha. Amoyete, from me, Radha, Srimati Radharani, Hoya, gets, ye, whatever, jatiya, types of, sukha, happiness, taha, that, asvadite, to taste, ami, I, sadai, always, unmukha, very much eager. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. I'm always eager to taste the joy that Radharani derives from me. Text 263. Nana yatna karyami narya svadite se sukha madhurya grani lopabadi chitte. Nana, various, yatna, attempts, kari, do, ami, I, nari, I am not able, asvadite, to taste, say that, sukha, of the happiness, madhurya, the sweetness, grani, by smelling, lobha, desire, bhade, increases, chitte, in the mind. Translation by His Divine Grace. In spite of various efforts, I have not been able to taste it, but my desire to relish that pleasure increases as I smell its sweetness. Text 264. Rasa svadite ami koilo avatar. Prema rasa svadiba vivida prokar. Rasa, mellow. Asvadite, to taste. Ami, I. Koila, made. Avatara, incarnation. Prema rasa, transcendental mellow of love. Asvadiba, I shall taste. Vivida prakar, different varieties of. Translation. I have appeared in this world to taste mellows. I shall taste the mellower of pure love in various ways. Text 265. Raga margi bhakta bhakti kare ye prakari. Saha shikhai balila acharana dwari. Raga margi, on the path of spontaneous love. Bhakta, the devotee. Bhakti, devotional service. Kare, does. Ye prakare, in what way? Saha, that. Shikhaiba, I shall teach. Lila, pastimes. Acharana dvare, by means of practical demonstration. Translation. I shall teach devotional service which springs from the spontaneous love of the devotees by demonstrating it myself with my pastimes. Om Ajnana-timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuranmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shanyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Bhakti Siddhanta Shishyayam Bhaktivedanta Namine Prasanna Prashantaya Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Bhagavad Vandanam Kadyam Guru Vandana Purvakam Kshiram Sharkara Yuktam Tadatehi Visheshataham Adadana Srinam Danter Idam Yachi Punaha Punaha Srimad Rupa Padam Bhoja Dhulishyam Janma Janmani Amsho Bhagavatu Smyaham Sadadaso Asmi Saravata tat kripa pikshako nityam tat prishta shatakaromi svam Sri Krishna Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrindam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Many times in the various writings of our Purva-Acaryas, or previous transcendental spiritual masters, we hear different descriptions of how to understand the pastimes and the meaning of the intricate dealings of Radha and Krishna and the Gopikas, the coward girls of Vrindavana. It is not an easy subject to understand. Why? Because it is hidden. This message is not for materialistic people. Those who are actual devotees or devoted to the cause of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and are practicing the path of bhakti, they can understand. They can gradually understand by following the instructions of the great acharyas, the great spiritual masters. But by mental speculation, by mundane study, or mere academic scholarship, it is not possible to understand that way. How many times has Prabhupada warned in his books not to engage in the path of speculation? Because one cannot understand the absolute truth by logic, by reason, by speculation. Even in the Vedanta Sutra, there is description that simply by logic, one cannot understand the absolute truth. In the Mahabharata, there is warning, natam starkena yojayat. To understand the absolute truth cannot understood simply by tarka, by logic. Of course, one can use logic as a means to attempt to understand, but this has to be done under the direction and supervision of the acharyas. That is why it is described in the Mahabharata that the truth of religion, dharmasya tattvam nihitam guhayam. Guha means secret. It is hidden. Then how will understand if it's hidden? Dharmasya tattvam nihita guhayam mahajanoyenaks gatasa pantaha. By following in the footsteps of the great Mahajanas. In the Caitanya-caritāmṛta itself, in the Madhya Lila, Srila Prabhupada has given a very nice description of who are the Mahajanas in our Gaudiya Sampradaya. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Madhavendra Puri, Ishwara Puri, Lakshmipati Tirtha, the six Goswamis, Narottam Das Thakur, Shyamananda, Srinivasacharya, Ramachandra Kaviraj, so many exalted acharyas who have revealed how to understand the relationship between Radha and Krishna. If one thinks that he can understand this simply by study, by speculation, by scholarship, by academic titles, he will be mistaken. He will guaranteed misunderstand. We have seen even during the lifetimes the manifested presence of various acharyas. Different persons have tried to understand, trying to bypass, trying to avoid the authority of the acharyas. And every time this has been exposed. One time we were in Coimbatore in South India, and one gentleman came to see us, he was trying to explain to us the pastimes of Radha and Krishna from the Brahma-Vaivarta Purana. And when we heard him talking, we let him talk for a while. Then we told him, once he shut up and slowed down, that if you want to understand these topics, you have to take shelter of the Goswamis. And the representative of the Goswamis is His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda. He's the foremost representative of the 6 Goswamis all around the world. But some people will object, well, he's not living now. He's not available now. He's not physically present now. Well, he is physically present and not physically present. For those who have the intelligence and the good fortune to understand the teachings, they can understand how he is always present, although not physically available for questioning. But his teachings are there, his instructions are there. One can understand the teachings very nicely. It is not very difficult. It is not very complicated. Simply what one has to do is to hear, Sravanam Kirtanam. Somebody recently sent me on Facebook a little portion of a lecture, an excerpt of a lecture from Srila Prabhupada. And Prabhupada said, the entire process of devotional service is based on hearing, Sravanam Kirtanam. Unfortunately, in the age of Kali Yuga, there's a lot of people who have got it reversed. They think first they want to speak, and the hearing they want to do later. No, that is not the process. First, one has to submissively hear the message of the Acharya. Then one will understand, then one will be able to speak. Without proper hearing, there is no possibility of proper speaking, of proper kirtanam. Because I see so many persons, especially in India, they go to visit various temples, which is nice, which is recommended in the Shastras. Prabhupada did recommend that. It's actually a very interesting pastime to go and visit temples, to offer obeisances, to do some offering for the deity, to pay dandavats to the deity, to take charnamrita. But one has to hear the message of the deity's pure devotee. Otherwise, one will become confused. Just like I've often spoken on this, how in the age of Kali Yuga, the tendency for concocting and manufacturing is very strong. Again, somebody sent me another one of these concocted bhajans, Jai Radhi, Jai Bolo Shri Radhi, Jai Sri Krishna Radhi, something. Now somebody may say, well, Prabhupada said we should chant the name of Radharani. This is most auspicious. It definitely is. The name of Radharani is the most sacred of all transcendental names. But one has to do it according to the instruction of the Acharyas. Otherwise, it will all become sahaja. When Vishwakarma Prabhu acquired the Toronto temple, Prabhupada told him, now that you've gotten this temple, do not turn the temple into a Haribol Sampradaya. And Vishwakarma Prabhu asked Srila Prabhupada, what is a Haribol Sampradaya? Prabhupada says, well, in India, there's a lot of different Vaishnava sects and different cults. And some of them will sing Haribol, Haribol so many times. Prabhupada said, that is good, but unless we study the Shastras and you read our books, then gradually, if you don't study the books, it will stop, the Haribol will eventually stop. It will diminish. One has to study the instruction of the Acharyas, study the books of the Acharyas. This is a very important point. Otherwise, Doesn't matter how intelligent one may be, how much direct association one may have had with Srila Prabhupada, how much physical proximity one may have had with Prabhupada, it will be guaranteed to misunderstand. So this is a very important point. And we see this to every page of Srila Prabhupada's books. Every page we're being told, pay attention, hear the transcendental message. This is what Krishna is telling Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita. This is what Vyasadeva is telling Narada in the Bhagavatam in the first canto. This is what Sutta Goswami was telling the great sages at Naimisharanya. And this is what our Srila Prabhupada is telling us in every page of his books. Hare Krishna. All glory is to His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Yaśodā, from your car in California. I understand the temperatures are very hot there, so thank you very much. The transcendental message in Prabhupada's books explains to us specifically what is our position in the material world. Because people are confused, they don't know. They think they're Canadian, they're beautiful, they're rich, they're famous. Everyone is trying to become Krishna, the supreme enjoyer in this world. That's their main focus. But they forget they're in a body made of material elements that is going through 6 transitions: birth, growth, duration, byproducts, deterioration, and disintegration. So this is our problem. In order to solve the problems of life, we have to be educated and inspired. For example, Prabhupada's books are so beautifully presented in such a way that it gives us a window into the spiritual sky. When you look at all the paintings that were done and put in the books, they give us this vision of where we can go if we follow this process carefully and take a serious attitude towards service. Because Prabhupada is explaining, I'm reading the third chapter of the Gita, Karma, Yoga. And Prabhupada really is telling us you have to he's hinting here, even at this early stage, of the Sankirtan mission of Lord Chaitanya. And then if you look at the Srimad Bhagavatam, the opening of the Srimad Bhagavatam is a brief biography on the life of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Prabhupada made that a priority for his disciples, people that were serious about spiritual life, to understand not only the teachings of Lord Krishna, but study the Srimad Bhagavatam, and then the postgraduate study would be the Caitanya-caritāmṛta. And the service that you provide is the service of Sankirtan, Garuda Prabhu, this Sankirtan mission, which is the current business of the devotees in 2024. And we shouldn't jump ahead just quickly, and we'll move to our panel. Dharma Bhavana, Chaitanya Nrsimha, Shama Sundar, the Samosa King in Australia, and Garuda Prabhu to speak. But Prabhupada, in this lecture I was listening to, do not jump ahead to Jugala Priti, this idea that you understand Radha and Krishna. Because if you do, he says there is a possibility of fall down. Because this sahajiya tendency is something that many people become afflicted with, thinking that they are some kind of self-realized, very advanced devotee when they're actually simply students of the bona fide spiritual master. And it's interesting to note, Srila Prabhupada, in these verses that we're reading in the Caitanya-caritāmṛta, Garuda, he does not provide any purports. in this discussion of Radharani and Krishna and these intimate pastimes. He's translating them for us, letting us hear them, but he's not commenting. I wonder why. Maybe you could answer that, Garuda Prabhu. Microphone.
I think that, anyway, this is a wonderful discussion, and I thank Yaśodā-nandana Ji for another wonderful discourse. In the car or not, he seems to be able to give a discourse no matter where he is. But you know, I think that Prabhupada comments at very strategic, and this is my sense, okay?
Yes.
I think he comments on verses very strategically. I think he wants at certain points, he wants to give us a kind of rush of nourishing comments, and then he lets the reader absorb the verses as they come, and then he gives us, another, dosage of his transcendental vision. I think, Prabhupada's approach to commentary and his what he calls purports is ingenious. It gives us unparalleled access to the most esoteric literature. As Yaśodā-nandana Ji was mentioning, very hard to understand for most people. In fact, impossible. And Yaśodā-nandana Ji said, why? Because it is hidden, but not to the devotee, not to the devotee. And as you said, Vishwakarma Ji, if we think of ourselves as somehow some big achieving devotees, that's ironic, because if we're thinking that way, we're not. But if we think of ourselves as students of Prabhupada, actually that's quite glorious, to be a real student of Prabhupada and to read his.
Your mic cut out, Prabhu.
My mic?
Go ahead, keep going now. It's back on.
Yeah. So I was simply saying that to be a student of Prabhupada, I mean a real student of Prabhupada, not jumping over his head to previous acharyas, not trying to correct what he said in his books, but to really be standing under his Vani is a glorious position. I'm still trying. I'm still working on it.
Thank you. Dharma Bhavana in Dallas, Texas, please, if you could make your comments for our audience today on our Zoom class and our YouTube channel for those that tune in later.
Okay, Hare Krishna, thank you. I wanted to read a text and purport. It's Madhya-lila, chapter 1, text 218. And what struck me, I really like this verse. It seemed like as devotees, if we have a clear understanding of devotional service as best we can, it helps us in our devotee association. Or if we have some misunderstanding, it'll also show up in our devotee association. So this is text 218. When all the devotees saw the mercy of the Lord.
Where is it? 218? Where?
Yeah, Madhya, chapter 1.
Madhya-lila, chapter 1. Okay, say it slowly.
Madhya-lila, chapter 1, text 218.
Okay, thank you. Keep going.
Okay. When all the devotees saw the mercy of the Lord upon the two brothers, they were very gladdened, and they began to chant the holy names of the Lord. Hari, Hari. Purport. Sri Narottam Das Thakur says, Charya Vaishnav Seva, Nistara Peche Keva. Unless one serves a Vaishnav, he cannot be delivered. The spiritual master initiates a disciple to deliver him, and if the disciple executes the order of the spiritual master and does not offend other Vaishnavas, his path is clear. Consequently, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu requested all the Vaishnavas present to show mercy toward the two brothers, Rupa and Sanatan, who had just been initiated by the Lord. When a Vaishnava sees that another Vaishnava is a recipient of the Lord's mercy, he becomes very happy. Vaishnavas are not envious. If a Vaishnava, by the mercy of the Lord, is empowered by him to distribute the Lord's holy name all over the world, other Vaishnavas become very joyful. That is, if they are truly Vaishnavas. One who is envious of the success of a Vaishnava is certainly not a Vaishnava himself, but an ordinary mundane man. Envy and jealousy are manifested by mundane people, not by Vaishnavas. Why should a Vaishnava be envious of another Vaishnava who is successful in spreading the holy name of the Lord? An actual Vaishnava is very pleased to accept another Vaishnava who is bestowing the Lord's mercy. A mundane person in the dress of a Vaishnava should not be respected but rejected. This is enjoined in the Shastras, upeksha. The word upeksha means neglect. One should neglect an envious person. A preacher's duty is to love the Supreme Personality of Godhead, make friendship with Vaishnavas, show mercy to the innocent, and reject or neglect those who are envious or jealous. Wow. There are many jealous people in the dress of Vaishnavas in this Krishna Consciousness movement, and they should be completely neglected. There is no need to serve a jealous person who is in the dress of a Vaishnava. When Narottam Das Thakur says Chadiya Vaishnav Seva Nistara Peche Keba, is indicating an actual Vaishnava, not an envious or jealous person in the dress of a Vaishnava. All right. Thank you, Haribol.
Very, very profound statements by Srila Prabhupada, and it really reflects his experience as a member of the Gaudiya Math and how he had to deal with his godbrothers after the departure of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, and is also a situation where ISKCON has become Gaudiya Math Part 2. And the same warnings that Prabhupada was giving us in these purports from his own practical experience, we're also experiencing in dealing with our godbrothers who have put Srila Prabhupada at the back of the class, not at the head of the class. And this is unfortunate. Chaitanya Nashringa, I believe you're in New Jersey or you're traveling around. Are you close to your microphone? You can share a few comments this evening at this program.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dhanvat Pranam. Please accept my obeisance, all Krishna Prabhupada.
Haribol.
Hope everyone's doing well. Very nice lecture again by Prabhu's. I was listening to Prabhupada's lecture the other day, and Prabhupada says that many times, the consciousness that we have, the Krishna consciousness is dormant, and it becomes enlivened when they associate with devotees. And then when they associate with devotees, and they hear about Krishna, then the dormant we become conscious that we are eternal servant of Krishna. But Prabhupada says that we are eternal servant. But who do we want to serve? Do we want to serve a dog, our wife, children, or do we want to? And that continuous circle we never get out of. And when to be able to get out of that circle, we want to be able to serve Vaishnavas, as Prabhu said, serving Vaishnavas, serving pure devotees. And the only way we can serve pure Vaishnavas if we are association of Vaishnavas. And that Prabhupada always said that we should always strive to serve our God brothers rightly and not defame, but at the same time, but serving the pure devotees' instructions is very important. And people forget that they forgetting Srila Prabhupada right now, and they want to serve their spiritual master. They want to serve, and many times I've heard from the ISKCON side they are more into glorifying their own spiritual master and forgetting Srila Prabhupada's instruction, creating all these different videos of all these different Maharajas out there. But the actual instruction is from Srila Prabhupada. He is the original spiritual master of this movement. And that is being forgotten. And all these new people that are coming to the movement, they have no idea of Srila Prabhupada's position. And as more and more days pass by, it's becoming really unfortunate that Srila Prabhupada's position is being minimized. And And the only way we can do that is if we continue glorification of Srila Prabhupada. And the way we can do that is by association of this kind of association, and that's the only way we can continue the legacy and glorify Srila Prabhupada.
Yes, Prabhu, thank you. Very well spoken. And that's the fact that you have, explained that these groups are more cultish. The term cult is, nowadays it's become a derogatory term, and it is somewhat derogatory in terms of these individual groups. For example, in Atlanta, they've opened a new organization called Krishna Life. Now they've got an ISKCON Atlanta temple that's been there forever. And now there's another guru there, whoever he is, and he's opened his own corporation and his own group. It's called Krishna Life. And then you have another person in, I don't know where he is now, somewhere in the States. He's developed this Sahajiya group called Krishna West, where they don't wear tilak, they don't chant their rounds, they don't have neck beads. There's no robes, no dhoti, no kurta, no sannyas robe, even though the person claims to be sannyasi. So this type of Sahajiyism, Prabhu, is come into the movement because they've, as I mentioned, if you were at the beginning of the program, they've shifted Prabhupada into the back of the class. And that's the idea. We are going to do this, by the way, somehow or other by Krishna's arrangement, construct a Prabhupada Memorial Center somewhere in America and install all the programs that are necessary to establish him as the focal point of the Sankirtan movement of Lord Chaitanya. It's not about just speaking the philosophy. That's fine. We have to talk the philosophy, we have to discuss. But Prabhupada, when we bought the Toronto temple, Prabhupada told me this personally in his quarters. He said, and he sent me a letter to this, now that you've got this wonderful building, use it for preaching the Sankirtan movement of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Yes. Whatever you have, whatever you perform in your life, you should do it with this focus. You know, like people, for example, they build all these exhibits and places for people to go and enjoy, like Disneyland in Florida. People go there and they go through this fantasy world. What relevance is it to the human society? Zero. In fact, it's destroying the human society. This fantasy world of I can be Krishna. Nothing is ours. Nirmama. Nothing is ours. Everything is Krishna's. Your body, your mind, your intelligence, your money, your purpose should be all focused on Krishna. This is, of course, a golden opportunity for all of us to do that as a group. We have a good group of people, and if we work together cooperatively to reestablish, my friends, Prabhupada's position as the representative, bona fide representative of Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada in the line of disciplic succession from Lord Chaitanya, Krishna will take you back home, back to Godhead. Yes, liberation is possible by complete surrender. So we are striving. I mean, we're all stumbling forward, let's put it that way, for years and years, trying to somehow or other get to a good place in the preaching mission of Lord Chaitanya. And there has been so many ups and downs, but here we have some momentum. And Chaitanya Nrsimha, I used to tell people, at one time I developed a project in the Hamilton area. It was a musical project where people would come. And it became very popular. We had thousands and thousands of people coming on a yearly basis. And written up in the newspapers and blah, blah, blah. It was all kinds of hype and promotion. And I at the time back then, I used to say, you know, someday, everyone, this will all disappear. And it did. It did. We had momentum. Things were going right. Then everything went wrong and the whole thing collapsed and it disappeared. Now, we're in a particular situation, everyone, where we've come to this point in time with these classes, with this beautiful, by the way, I wanted to say that Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu and Vinkat Prabhu produced, Bhatta Prabhu produced a beautiful magazine on the Rath-yatra, which we should have a new cover designed and put as a formal document for people to read about Rath-yatra and the real meaning of it and the proper understanding of Prabhupada, and have it distributed in the ISKCON communities so people can be informed, properly informed on what the truth of the matter is. This is very important that we understand that there has to be steps taken forward. Again, the idea of this Prabhupada Memorial Center. Yes. And we're developing a plan. I'll distribute it to any one of you that's interested, where we can have accommodations, we can have exhibits, we can have a movie theater, all kinds of things like that. They're all focused on Srila Prabhupada as the bona fide Acharya in our disciplic succession and put back into prominence. We're still alive. We're still capable, despite our old age, as some of us, of doing things, but we have to step up to the plate. We can't just sit back and be a spectator. Anyway, I wanted to go to our friend, hopefully he's there. We're going to go to Shyama-Sundar in Australia, who, by the way, I put up your picture on the Prabhupada Disciples Association of your amazing booth there, Shyama-Sundar, in Australia, distributing thousands of samosas a week, books, etc. And we have over 5,000 views of the picture, just so you know. So it really attracted other people to see people like yourself standing up and performing devotional service every week in a practical way. Shyama-Sundar, are you able to come to the mic, or are you at the stove? I guess he's not available. If you are, just put your hand up later. Tim Lee, somewhere in America. I see you put an interesting quote up. Maybe you'd like to give us a summary of the analysis of the Gaudiya Math with the Narayan folks in wherever they were. Tim Lee, or Paranjana Prabhu, sorry. Is he here, or did he go? Should I stay or should I go?
Hello?
Yeah, there he is. Paranjana, I was asking you, maybe you could give us a brief summary of this Gaudiya Math Narayan folks on a video for everyone's information.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I was talking about this, the Gaudiya Math people, and in particular the Narayan people.
Yeah.
And there's one leader there, his name is Prem Prayojana,
Okay.
and he kind of like an offshoot, because they have a sannyasi group, and he was part of the sannyasi group, and then he fell down and became married, and the other sannyasis didn't accept him because, you know, evidently Narayan said they all have to be sannyas to give initiation, and he's initiating people as a householder, and so he's not welcome, you know, in the other. So there's a lot of friction and competition amongst their so-called gurus, you know. But anyway, he's become somehow or other more prominent than most of the other guys, at least in the West. And he has a center in Germany, and he goes to Florida. He goes to he hangs out with Jadharani sometime. But anyway, he made an analysis of his Guru Tattva and, you know, his connection to, like, Fakir Mohan. Fakir Mohan was a disciple of Ananta Vasudeva, And a lot of people don't realize this, but Gaur Govinda was very favorable to Fakir Mohan, and they were very connected.
Oh,
Fakir was a regular speaker at the Bhubaneswar temple of Gaur Govinda. And there was some other guy similar to Fakir Mohan. He was some kind of Babaji, and Gaur Govinda had that guy's picture on his altar, in addition to Prabhupada. So he went to Gaur Govinda's place, and that's how he got connected to Fakir Mohan and Gaur Govinda. And Gaur Govinda was favorable to Narayan Maharaj, so that they all connected together, you know. So a lot of people don't know that Gaur Govinda was actually a big conduit for bringing these different influences into ISKCON.
hmm
But if you listen to this guy's story, and he was a follower of Gaur Govinda, that you realize how a lot of this happened. So anyway, I just went through his whole thing. I mean, it's interesting. He says, I learned about Krishna by reading Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita,
yeah.
and that's how I connected myself to Krishna. Okay, that's great, except Gaur Govinda says the Sabda Brahman does not descend from books and tapes. So, you know, so right away they made a contradiction. He connected to Krishna by a book, but it's not possible to connect to Krishna by a book. So what's going on? So that's
Yeah.
the first thing I mentioned, you know, that there's a lot of contradictions in things.
Now, wasn't he, let me ask you this question, wasn't he being, I'm not very familiar with him being from Canada and not in India so much, but wasn't he being presented as some kind of official representative of Prabhupada that was appointed by Prabhupada as a guru? Was that him, Gaur Govinda?
Well, Gaur Govinda, there's a rumor that he was
Yeah.
given an order to be a guru, but there's no evidence this order was ever given.
Uh-huh.
But I mean, it's just like a lot of these so-called secret discussions. You know, there was a secret discussion where Sridhar Maharaj was made the next Acharya. There's a secret discussion where Narayan Maharaj was made the next Acharya. And then there's a secret discussion where Gaur Govinda was made a Acharya. But there's no evidence that any of these discussions ever took place.
Hmm.
So, yeah, but Gaur Govinda was, he met with me in person, and he told me
Okay.
personally, I have to cooperate and, you know, go along with the GBC. And I can't leave ISKCON. I have to be with them. And he was attending all their meetings, all the GBC meetings. But he came to a kind of a blowout with the GBC because
Yeah.
he challenged the GBC. He said, I'm going to get all the Brahmins, the local Brahmins in Bengal, to protest in front of the Mayapur temple because you are preaching that the soul originates with Krishna, and that's bogus. We don't accept that. You know, because Prabhupada says this all started in 1971, you know, when the God Brothers said back to Godhead is bogus because we were never with Godhead. But Prabhupada says, no, you were originally with Krishna's Leela or sport. We were all originally Krishna conscious living entities. And
hmm
fortunately, the GBC agreed that's the correct idea. We do originate with Krishna.
hmm
So he was going to make a protest of the local Brahmins who are all Mayavadis and Gaudiya Math people.
Okay.
He was going to confront the GBC over this issue the next year, the following year. Well, oddly, he disappears the same year that he challenged them. And he was making a series of videos. There's a series of Gaur Govinda videos, I think 6 or 7, that he made just over and over, going over this point, where he's trying to prove that we do not originate with Krishna. So he was making these videos at the end of his life here. But
Uh-huh.
after he departed, his followers wrote to say, we think they poisoned him.
Hmm.
You know, we don't think he left voluntarily. We think he made this challenge that he was going to make a public protest, and they just decided to get rid of him. which is quite possible. So I said, well, you got to get his body, and you have his body analyzed. Well, oddly enough, a pack of Jayapataka disciples grabbed his body immediately and drove it off immediately and buried it in a sewer.
Oh my God.
Sewer pipe had broken. And it's, dug it up, put his body in there.
Not very
So,
funny.
well, it was very difficult to analyze the body
Gotcha.
after been in that situation. So
It's like
that
a
was,
mafia. It's like a mafia.
yeah, it just all seems, it is. It's like a mafia movie or something. What is going on there? You know what I mean?
Terrible.
But anyway,
Yeah.
he's been influenced by all of these people, and he also made a lecture about how, the soul does not originate with Krishna. So I said this is very similar to
Yeah.
the Christian idea. The Christians believe that some angels start out with God and they stay with God. And then you're an unfortunate schlub and you wound up in the material world because you were not chosen. So it's like they have the chosen people who are in heaven and the not chosen, which is us, the fallen people. And so Gaur Govinda's idea is very similar to that idea. God puts some people in heaven with him where they stay forever and they never. And then other souls who are obviously lesser souls end up falling to the material world. So I said, what is the basic difference between Gaur Govinda's preaching and the Catholic Church idea? That some souls start with God, some. So whenever I bring this up with their people, they just get infuriated right away because they don't have a good comeback.
Well, they think you're a blasphemer.
Well, they can't explain
You're
their
telling
own
them the truth, and they don't know what they're doing, and their only reaction
but
is to
they don't have a good
get
explanation.
angry. Yeah.
They don't have a good explanation. That's the
Mhm.
bottom line. They can't explain why God. So what I said in my video, it's like God has an assembly line of babies coming down the assembly line, and he throws one baby into the spiritual world, and he throws the other baby into the trash can. How would God be doing that? It doesn't make any sense. But anyway, that's just another example of many contrary things that they have in their philosophical presentation. So you can watch the video, and I just go point by point through all these different things, how they're
Okay.
misguided on Guru Tattva, Jiva Tattva, and basically every Tattva.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. We've got a couple of more people that we're going to call upon for tonight's program. Just quickly, Vinayak Sharma and Nilesh Sharma. So first, Vinayak Sharma in Japan. Prabhu, I see you're putting up comments. Are you able to speak? Maybe share a few points with us? Vinayak Sharma is a very sincere devotee, working very hard in Japan to try to spread the movement of Lord Chaitanya there. And he has a very good understanding of our philosophy. Doesn't appear his mic is working, so we'll go to our last commentator this evening, our good friend in Florida, in his car. Oh, I see you're in your car like Yaśodā. Nilesh Sharma, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. After some time, I'm joining this particular group because, as you are aware, we were trying to start a center to what you call Brahmanas were trying to start a center in near Orlando. They call it associated with Dhir Govinda Prabhu, called the Gopal Eco Village.
Oh.
So we had about 70 people show up. Most of them are Prabhupada Nugas or Ritvik, or those who are interested to bring Srila Prabhupada into the mainstream. It is interesting that you were discussing all this about Disneyland and Florida, and we had 70 devotees in this inauguration, while one evening we go to Disney Springs, And it was so crowded. It was the long weekend, the 4th of July long weekend. It was so crowded that it took us almost 30 to 45 minutes just to get in and get out of the parking lot. So that tells you about where people are interested in what and how much, you see. And Vinayak Sharma puts in the comment about cricket match and all. Again, we saw these analogies in India where we had a huge crowd turnout just to welcome the world champions after winning the World Cup from Barbados, returning back to India, and what kind of a welcome they got. And how many people, if not, I wouldn't say the same number because the number was much more in Bombay than it was in Jagannath Puri on Sunday for the Rath Yatra. You see? So now the question comes is that, yes, if you look at the absolute numbers, these are huge numbers. You know,
Yes.
you see the sea of people, even in Jagannath Puri at the Rath Yatra festival as well. You see? But we need to categorize ourselves that this is where do we fall into? Are we into the Wankhede Stadium at Bombay to welcome the cricket champions, or are we going to be in Jagannath Puri trying to welcome the Lord Jagannath, Lord Baladev, and Mata Subhadra into this whole part? And why are we doing it? And a lot of realizations came about even in the association with Dhir Govinda Prabhu on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, which we were there. And a lot of insight was given into this aspect. And not to, shorten the part which Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu always sends, is that who is a senior devotee in ISKCON, you know? And it has nothing to do with age. Many a times we associate, I am in Krishna Consciousness or ISKCON for the last 30 years, 40 years, 50 years. People say like, yeah, that is a good thing that you are associated over there. But seniorness and juniorness, very nicely Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu had sent that how old was Sukdev Goswami when he narrated the Bhagavatam? 16. And what kind of welcome was he given when he entered the August gathering of Parikshit Maharaj and all the great personalities from the universe, including his father Vyasdev, who was in the audience? What did they do? They stood up as a sign of respect, not because he was older by age, because he was older by Krishna consciousness. And this is what we need to be aware of. Not that the senior devotees need to be disrespected. There's no disrespect to anyone. But the idea is who's senior, who's junior, and a lot of similar realizations came about. But this part which Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu sent me, it kind of stuck in my head, and I just wanted to share this part. But there are a lot of insights which came in. And one thing which I wanted to share with all of us, and especially as we associate with other Prabhupada Anugas or other people who have similar thoughts, that we are very strong minded people. Remember, we have fought this great institution of ISKCON with all their power, with all their money, with all their propaganda. And as individuals, we have stood against them. Somewhere, somehow, we have become very strong, and we have become very strong-minded also. So when we suddenly come together, that aggression comes on each other as well. We got to be mindful about it. We got to be thoughtful about it. And especially those who have gone through so many tribulations. I met one Prabhu. He said, I've been thrown out of all ISKCON temples because I would go and distribute all this literature about Prabhupada, you see. And so he has become so tough that it is sometimes very difficult because he comes out very aggressively to you. But when you say that, yes, you are with the like-minded people, we all accept Prabhupada over here, the way he mellowed down was just incredible. So we need to be a little careful how we treat similar Prabhupada disciples who want Prabhupada in the center. And we need to be a little bit more mindful because the more abuse anybody has gone through, the harder it is for them to turn around, especially even if it is in a homely environment, in a non-confrontational environment. So let us be a little bit conscientious about all this. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Well, the fact of the matter is you're right. A lot of people are isolated and on their own because of the trouble they've had in that movement. I thought it was interesting that you mentioned, because you, at the beginning of the class today, we did discuss this situation of how small this mission really is compared to things in the material world. Like you were mentioning the cricket players coming to back for celebration after winning the championship, or if you look at the World Cup soccer or the games like that, it's astounding how many millions of people are focused on that. And you see people like, you weren't at the class at the time, but I talked about this Jayadvaita showing up at the San Diego temple. I won't get into it, but they had to move the trucks in order to make way for him. And when he came to the door, there were 6 people there to greet him. So how significant are these people? They're not significant. The mission in America has diminished down to very few people in the temples. And it's segregated by different gurus and different bank accounts and corporations. So it's a great opportunity for us to rebuild our mission. And we're going to do it, by the way, Nilesh. Yes, and it has nothing to do with personal ambition. This is the service. You cannot make advancement in Krishna consciousness without a history of service. So devotee, senior devotee means a person that serves. That's not by age, it's by service and results, you know. And there's great many things that we can do. For example, we can set up a place, a Prabhupada Memorial Center, where there can be the archives, there can be the Prabhupada libraries, there can be the Prabhupada movie theater, there can be Prabhupada special event facilities, Prabhupada accommodations, like that. Hopefully we can come to that, not another center for this or that. The main thing is Prabhupada, period. And the representation of him as the topmost Jagat Guru in this time and place is the most important thing for us to do. Somehow or other show that, not talk it. You know, actions speak much louder than words. Lots of people talk. Very few people actually act. And that's what our group is going to do as we move forward. So thank you, everyone. I just wanted to mention before we end up, Vyasa Puja offering. We need your Vyasa Puja offerings for our online Vyasa Puja book that we published. We published a beautiful book last year. Venkat Bhatta Prabhu did the wonderful artwork for it. And it's there online so you can see it. We have about 80 offerings. So I'm requesting everyone here on this call to please send in your offerings to the Hare Krishna Society website. I believe that would be the best way. Or if you want to send it to any of us, we'll forward it to them. But it should go to the site because that's where it's going to be developed. And in this way, we can get our Vyasa Puja offering book done again for the second year. So we're looking forward to your offerings. Chaitanya Nashringa, Vinayak Sharma, Nandi Mukhi, Bhakta Roy, Angelo V, Arjuna, Radharani, Rochisa Devi Dasi, Michael Dillon, like that, Shamasundar, Bhakta Gopal. All of you and everyone else that's attending the classes on the YouTube channel, where we're getting a lot of reaction, positive reaction. Please make up your offerings and send them in. It's in August, so we're running out of time. And if anybody is competent in working on production for us, we want to have a studio at our headquarters that we hope to set up, the Prabhupada Memorial Center. But we do need help with production of these classes. So if you've got an inclination to work with us in the production of these classes and help our team, because we need more people to be a part of it, to operate the Zoom meetings for us on a weekly basis. And we've been doing it steadily for 2 years. We're looking for new people to help join in and give some assistance. We have all the instructions to do it, Nilesh, from our production manager, and he's made up a list of all the responsibilities, how to do it, and then people that have experience in technology, if you know somebody that can come in, because we need to draw from, and has knowledge of the Shastra. So when the verses are called up, you can put up on the screen, everybody can read the verses, and Yaśodā especially can present them so nicely, and other devotees are doing the same thing. And the other features of the show that we can produce to attract more people into the environment, because we've got to keep working forward, not, we're stumbling forward, we got to work forward. So thank you very much. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Let's play the kirtan of Srila Prabhupada back in the 60s, playing the bongos, chant along, and then we'll have the closing of the program. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
eva cha. Oh, vanchakalpa trubhyascha. Thank you. Kripa sindhu bhayeva cha patitanam pavenibhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namo. Offer my respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord, who can fulfill the desires of everyone, just like desire trees, and who are full of compassion for the fallen souls. All glories to the Sankirtan movement of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Thank you.
Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Juta Padakamalam Sri Gurum Vaishnava Vangscha Sri Rupam Sagrajayatam Sahagana Raghunathannitam Tang Sajivam Sadaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya